Come on in.
Leave you a little bit in the center of the square. Little small. More of a diamond. So, you figure out what your horse needs. If it needs to practice bending without it moving its feet, then that might be what you're doing. It has nothing to do with the square. But I wanted to go over the square because summer's a coming. I want them soft to be able to bend their head without their feet. You can be in the middle there. But you could practice. There's lots of little things and there's no pattern to it. I might walk a straight line. Slow these front feet down, roll the hind feet. Walk a straight line. Slow the front feet down. I don't want to wind up way out here, see? That's not my line. So my hand would have come in there to keep you from rolling way out there. I might practice getting my hand stopped at this cone without you pushing. I might get them soft. Practice backing an L. Down my straight line. If they're not good there, start again. I'm just going to roll the hind. I want you to leave your front there. Take the hind. Back to the next one. There's a little softness and flow. I'll start again. Work on my L. Come straight. Good. That's soft. The backup's a preparation for a turnaround. So I could roll her all the way around so she's parallel with this line. I could walk her here. Stop the front end. Take the hind end 180. Come parallel. Don't step over my poles. Don't step over my poles. She didn't flow very good, so I'll roll the hind. Don't step over my poles. Want your butt a little more. There, she started to flow. We'll see if she can move her hind around this and flow over here. Good. And we'll walk her. I just have her walk a circle here a little bit. We might stop her at the end. Bring the front feet in so she's parallel to the next line. I stopped early. Stop her without you moving your hind feet. Get parallel. Don't overturn. Roll your hind. Good. We'll do another leg heel. Good. We'll walk you to the next cone. Stop you on the cone. Don't pass my cone. Back my arc the other way. It's too much front feet. Way out of your line. No big deal. Thinking of turning around. All the better position to practice backing a circle. Get your butt over there. Get your butt over there. There you go. Get your butt over there. Get your butt over there. On your front feet. There you go. There. Now you can try again. That was a long way. You're not finding the arc. I could do her front feet if her front feet is what needed the work. But it's her hind feet that need the work. I'm going to just hold until her hind feet step over there a little more. Back her, work on these hind feet. That's the part that needs to reach. That's the part that needs to reach. There you go. There your hind feet started to reach. Good. Now we'll take you yesterday where I was heading, Chantel? Because you already got them. So just block the shoulder and walk on at that point. So you're not doing a lot of manipulating at that point. Off the top. Might bring the front feet. Take 90 with the body. Down my next rep. A little more hind feet. Block that shoulder. There, she's got to reach extra with the hind feet since that's what she needs to practice. Now back. Get over. Want her to go to where it's kind of like kick, 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 step, kick, 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 step. Which one means go? Here's an offer. That one meant go. Coming again. Coming again. There you go. There. I don't have to kick you to get over there. There. Good. I'll let you walk out of it. Any questions? You just let them explore and see what they need. Oh, good. I don't care to get to the end because she might go through good to bad, see? So I'll pick something new to work on. Over here. Come this way. But you get your little cone, you can kind of go infinite. We talked about those small circles. I got my little cone here. From right flexion to left flexion. Maybe I want this little figure 8. That's what we did the last clinic. We worked on a lot. Keep my hands on my line here. Now my line's drawing out here, so if she starts to come out too far, my inside hand doesn't pass my line. In other words, I don't do this. My line's over there, so I got to lead her up to my line again. There, now you're back in my line. So if she pushes as I change legs, she starts to tighten this rein. I'm not really tightening the rein. She's just going outside my line. I just keep my hand on this line here. And I'll go till that gets smooth. And I want to keep it simple, but when it gets good here, then I might go to a different cone and she might fall all apart again. Any questions? And I don't have her now, but we used to have a 30-year-old mare do it. Remember the day, Christine? If you really wanted to get good, now Christine had already gotten good with her old mare, girlfriend. But every time my horse pulls, she's out of control, right there. Whoops, she's out of control. She's not very fast. That's not too scary. But I needed something to control her feet. So I should be able to theoretically walk this without ever feeling her nose. Well, Christine's mare wanted to hurry back home. So I was like, okay, walk around that bush till you can fold your arms and walk around it till she stays in the barrier and she's not out of control. And you don't need something to pull on her to keep her in control. I don't know, it took about a freaking hour. And then we did the left one, it took about 20 minutes. And again, she could do it in the arena, so we weren't asking. And then pretty soon she could fold her arms and do that between both. And then that was enough and we were late. And the horse got barn sour again. It was only, 100 feet from home. But if you did that all the way home until you could ride those serpentines, they came home in control. So you can use that. And the other cool thing with these is you can find a shady spot in the summer. And usually a tree will give you about 12 foot of space pretty easy. And you can find a little shade spot to work on a lot of horsemanship. Again, you can work on haunches in. You can work on haunches in coming inside the circle too as they get a little more advanced. All that stuff, you could make it bigger or smaller or whatever. You could practice splitting those if you had a pole. On one of mine, I have a pole. Sometimes I'll do that. Don't step through my that thing coming underneath me. You can do it. It ain't gonna hurt you. It'll just fall over. It'll just fall over. Just something to work on. Step over. Behind it. See, the cones are easy. But if that's a pole or something someday, you might have to learn. Alright, you guys can work at it a little bit. You don't have to watch me. I mean, maybe you want to. If I get bucked off, I'll holler just to stop to happen. Or I'll try. Do what? What? Christine, what?
I was just telling Lena, I asked Alexis to use that one,
Okay. Can I ask why?
because that is brittle, and if she's not as accurate with that horse, I don't want it to cut her foot.
Okay. He'll be fine.
Okay.
He's been over step overs before. But that's okay. I'll practice with it then. No, I know. I'm not worried about that, I guess. I just wanted to try it because the cone was too much for her. Try to help her a little bit. I'll be off her cone in a minute. Just give it a change. every time I knock a cone or I just go kaboom, because I'd like to be able to ride around those landmines. These don't really blow up. But I thought, if you ever have a ranch, that's a hell of a way to keep people on the trail rather than riding off the trail. It might be mines for, remember that? Boy, you are rusty too. You just, I flagged a bunch off her. She's had her baby. I don't know if I swung the flag. I only read her half a dozen times or so, maybe a dozen at the most in the last year. She's just rusty. She's really worried about the flag. So just because you do something doesn't mean you don't have to go back and check it out and then work on it till it's good. That's kind of, if you remember when she was sore the other day, I had that tarp out. I know she's from the other ride. She was a little bad about it when I lifted one of those barrels. The cones are a little easier to lift, but she's still worried about it. But like you guys are working on those hindquarters, front quarters. First thing, I don't want her afraid of it. It's a respond and respect without fear. And then once I get them to where they're okay about it and they can rate, I can practice kind of getting short on one rein. On my left rein, this is me left around the arena. I take the hindquarters to the right. That's front quarters. There's the hindquarters. I can use that flag to help drive there. So she gets used to it. I want her back just a little more. I could go whoosh and she'd go whoosh and I'd probably go splat right now. So it's more about getting her gentle right now. But I use that. I don't want her afraid of it. But I do want her to respect it. So it's a balance. I get her okay about swinging it. Now I'm starting to get a little careless. She's not so jumpy. I want to make a little noise through there. Now I'm going to draw that hind quarter. Good. You reach over. Drive the front quarters. That's two forward. There you go. Good. Release. She kind of licks her lips like, oh, I don't need to be afraid of it. Nah, it's just a flag. Remember? Well, yeah, we did that stuff all the time. We used to chase horses with that.
What do you do when you're flagging from a saddle and I've had a couple where you bring it across, they're totally fine in any way, but you bring it across, change hands or change sides and they lose it.
And then what?
They don't like it. Go back to the
I just showed you. Hind quarters. There's the change eyes. I drive them. Get back up on my shoulder. If they go whoosh, great. Hind quarters, change eyes, front quarters. Get it out of their view. Come the other way. Get short on my inside rein. Come here. If they went whoosh too much, I can be back over here. They'll come around it. If they get too much, get the fucking rid of it. Don't fuck me off. And go pick it up again. That's what I just did when I moved the cone. It's too much. So to sit there and be like, tolerate a pit of snakes? No, she won't gain trust that way. Maybe I'd have to get her better on the ground. I wasn't too worried about her on the ground, so. But the cone, she's a little worried. I didn't work on the cone. You ever read Buck's book?
one of them.
The Faraway Horses? That's it. Drop the jump. Joe, drop the jug. Drop the jug, Joe. Pull up, drop the jug. Oh yeah, that might help. As the ice is going ka-chunk, ka-chunk, ka-chunk. Get rid of it. If you look in my tack room, I'll show you one, but I have a flag that's just rotten and the horses chewed it up and it looks, like I was saying, there's probably more material on the cuff of my sleeve than there is on this flag. Well, it's not too much. We're like Colt's just getting them used to it. It's one of those lightweight ones. And it's just a little something away. Or like I was telling him, if it becomes too big a boob, try to make it just a little smaller boob. If I can knot it up there. But I keep thinking about returning that flag. But I get a couple that are really jumped. That one she was riding yesterday gets really jumpy. I don't know if they whipped it, but for whips and stuff, you just like losing it. So ultimately the stick is still enough, but he's past the stick, but it's still a challenge with the stick, so I'm just a little ahead of it. Make sure you go till you get that saw. Straight forward, it's both reins. If it's too far to the left, then it's the left rein.
Okay, so if she's
then it's the right rein. If it's too far to the right, it's the left rein.
So it's that fix and release, and if I'm too heavy on my hands, that means I'm not, probably not.
If I come here and she goes too far that forward, block. Block is forward, that's where she left.
Okay.
If she goes too far to this way, the right rein says nope. Let her down. Your legs and hands work together. Ultimately, yes, we can practice. We didn't practice that leg only, no hands. But my hands still block if they walk off. They gotta know what's wrong.
Okay.
Something has to say, didn't say we didn't use her hands. I said we went until I didn't need my hands.
That's
She needed her hands about 800 times. That was the problem. Fixed release. Fixed release. You need your hands.
okay.
To hold the barrier, they don't know where the barrier is.
Okay.
It's not like you just gallop around the arena saying, well, I'm blending. I hope you get it.
Okay. So to not be heavy on my hands, I need to focus on the fixed release, not necessarily.
Correct. On a step. If it takes 6 steps, it's going to be a drag. Because you were late.
Okay.
We noticed it in the morning.
I know.
Sorry, that had to come out.
No, I mean, I was
You
like,
opened that door and I really didn't even think of it until you opened it. You don't focus on it that hard, you don't work hard enough, it probably just wasn't important. But it might be. My daughter got so much wrong. So, I don't know. Joe?
I don't have any specific questions. One thing I wanted to point out, I really love when you, a couple times yesterday and today, when you come and grab my reins from the ground and help. Gosh, I haven't ever had a teaching method help that clicks so well and easy because I feel it. And when you feel that, when you're on it, it clicks with me. And sometimes I watch things over and over again and it doesn't click. I think when you do it, when I'm off the horse and I feel it, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I just really.
And I think you gotta feel it so many times, but like sometimes I really will wait till people are really frustrated and like begging me to do it. I don't like to do it, to be honest. Because it's not fair. I like people that feel it. Really frustrated. Like, Sarah, wasn't that cool? And they'll be like, no, you didn't do anything. But it was cool to feel. But I did a lot. I did 40 years of practicing to not do much. But I remember whenever Buck used to do it to me, and I'd be like, I did the same thing. Couldn't have been the same because it got a different reaction. Or it could be the same thing with a different feel or presence. And maybe I had to believe it. Sometimes you gotta feel it to get it. But sometimes it's not always fair to me for the horse in the big picture. But I think people need to see it. And I really want to get to where I don't need to touch your horse and I can just get close and you get it. Or the horse just softened because I was there. I've seen Ray do that. I've seen Tom do that. I've seen Buck do that. I've seen me do it too, to be honest. I'm just not very consistent. But when it happens, when somebody's struggling and I just walk up and then the horse is like, oh, and I never even touched anything. It's like, cool. That's freaking awesome. Because I worked really hard at that, so it's got to be pretty cool at this point. But I remember whenever they did it to me, it wasn't very cool. It's like, you just got lucky. It's funny how lucky you can get with a lot of practice. So.
Well, anyways, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And I wish I could do more of it, but you guys got to get it ultimately too. And there's a certain sense. There was none too bad here, but there's a certain sense where if they're really struggling and I get it and I show them good, I gotta hand them back. So there's a certain amount of gruffness, barriers that are really firm, that can be a lot of pressure to put a horse through. Which is okay, providing I'm consistent out the other side, but if I put that much pressure on them and they go back to being okay to push, it's like, well, this is right, that's wrong. No, that's right, that's wrong. And I'd like it to be consistent. I was going to put mine on because I'm tuning all mine up. It's been so long. And I for sure wouldn't want to put a spur on right before the Brandon. So I want to ride them with some. And there's a certain amount where it's better to have them and they believe that you can go to them than take these 3 kicks and it not mean anything. But I don't mind, as far as gentling a colt, flag. Oh, thank you. But there's a certain amount of colts where you want them kind of flailing on them where they can tolerate stuff too, and they can tolerate you moving around and not be afraid. So that part I like on colts. But it's way better timing with the spur, and they'll believe more. But it's okay. It just kind of shows me where I'm at. Shows me I need a little more work. I'll just keep fixing it. Get it here again. You get like a 16 by my old place. We had like a big area, and you can kind of get in the shade underneath the stall and work a lot. Octagon's cool too, because you can practice a lot of shoulder in and haunches in on a little arc, and you leave gaps in it. So you got room to bring the shoulder inside the pole, the hindquarters outside the pole. Bring both outside the pole, bring the haunches in the pole. As it gets a little further, I'll go into an octagon, and then I'm not holding it so long. Yeah, it's a good one.
Good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My only question is, when do you leave? Because I think I have to do a lesson or two before you go.
Well, and maybe, I mean, it's fine if you want to do a lesson too. I leave like, I don't have a plane ticket yet, but my first date's the 20th, so I'm guessing around the 15th, 17th. I don't need a lot of jet lag time. Sometimes it's better, but I have to drive about 8 hours from where I fly.
That's June.
Yeah. And I have to get a little bit of boat time in before I go. But yeah, and then I was thinking, I don't know, it's good if you guys have friends. To me, it's always good to get numbers. Like then maybe you guys can meet up and ride or go for a trail ride. Or a lot of times you guys might see something. It's a good way. I know it's hard for people, but it's kind of like our men's group tonight. Like, just make a connection. Don't leave without kind of making a little connection and trying that. 'Cause, man, there's so much to me garbage out there. To have people at least focus going on the same way, it's pretty nice to have someone right. And like it's easy for me because I'm doing the teaching, but plenty of times we go out on the trail and one horse is wanting to rush, and we might just be in that little area for 20 minutes till they can walk. Kind of like your horse, we might just kind of stay there, but there's no sense going on. It's just going to be like a snowball rolling downhill, getting more and more, and then you have to hold them back. And if that has to be, if it's 10 feet off the fence is where the trail ride needs to be, I'd rather have it be right 10 feet because it doesn't get better. There is a certain sense, if it's a barn sour issue, where you go a certain point and the magnet breaks. And this is like one of the most interesting things about horses, because it can be a new place, but if you come in, you lose it going that way. When you come in from that way, it'll be the same distance, be it 100 yards, a mile, whatever it is, the magnet will attach it almost to a millimeter the same distance. Whatever they can smell or hear, it's crazy to me. But you want to kind of have that to where usually it's not too big of a magnet in the arena for people. A little bit. I can feel her wanting to go out the gate. Just consistency. But to spend that time. But yeah, I mean, I'm around till then. I'm just not doing as much because it's going to get hotter. I don't know what it's going to be. I like to ride too much. I told Christine I'm going to take off like I could hang around with Davina and go. But one of the weekends she has a volleyball, and so I don't know. I want to get enough daddy-daughter time. Sharon?
Well, I probably need a lesson for this. Like my own, what I, when I meander, I feel like she keeps breaking before, I feel like I'm encouraging her, but I'm not sure if I need to gather more, but we can do a lesson
Or stop her before she slows down and re-go again. Be ahead of it, not behind it.
because I feel like I'm going, okay, go.
And that's too much. Go is go fast. Not fast. Keep going your legs. So if they think about slowing down, I'm going to speed up. Once they speed up, I'm going to slow down. On my turn. And then I'll go again until I close. Keep going till you help. She's like, oh, okay, I'll go. I wasn't really even thinking about it. I was thinking of that, but she's like, I'll go. It's got to be keep going, but that's still affirmative. But if I say keep going, and I go a few strides, and then they start thinking, keep going, well, once they refuse, now I taught them to repeat. Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. If you think about slowing down, go. Now stop before you start thinking of slowing down without. It's a jump refusal. Once they start refusing, they're just more apt to. So you got to get them listening to you. I got to have less to get less before I can have less to get. And until I have less to get less, I don't have license to say keep going. And again, if it takes me 6 seconds to get the transition, I do not say keep going. Because then, in that 6 seconds, a lot can happen. I need that transition instantaneous. So that if they start to slow, I get the change instantaneous on a step. But if it takes 2 or 3 steps, the amount that they could break is too great. And then I taught them to, because I didn't have enough to say, be the leader. And I made a liar. So then they got heavier.
Good liar.
Yeah. I think I said it the first day, like they said in Switzerland.
I heard you.
I suck, but I suck a lot less than I used to.
Right. Like the blood.
Like
Thank
my
you.
friend said, it's a lot of luck, but the more you practice, the luckier you get. Good job, everybody. Thank you.
Tell me, when you were talking to her about that dip, what is that?
This one or the other one?
I call it like a correction dip from way she described it. It's a little like
Is it a broken mouth?
medium fork, broken mouth deal.
Oh, okay.
I can show you one that I have.
Like an island.
I don't know. Somebody got it for me and they were like, well, you have to use what I was using.
Who gave it to you?
Well,
You can drop names. It's okay.
no.
I'm not going to pick on them.
No, they didn't give it to me. I bought
Or
it.
told them.
Kendall Wilmer. It's like a whatever.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I don't know much about them.
No, she's
But like I've heard, that's why I was curious, because I like Tom, but I've heard Tom, I wouldn't necessarily. I like the 2-rein setup better, and to learn that or go to the hack more.
they're just so big on being in the bridle. You have to be in the bridle to do any showing, so you might as well just shove them in it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what like Ray told me. I had a horse, and she was, oh my God, she was nice in the Bozell. Like you could do nothing and do everything you wanted to do and never move your hand. But she is a little bracy in the bridle, and he's like, whose box are you trying to fit anyway? He goes, I agree with you. And for me, my answer was Buck, because I was, in my 20s, and I wanted to get that. I didn't say it out loud, but then it wasn't where he was getting it. Like, if you had to show, then yeah. wire, that's where she was at that point. You just wouldn't pick up on the barbed wire because it poked her tongue. But he didn't need to. And that's kind of the goal. But I know Ray would ride with stuff like that, or just even a regular Tom Thumb type. But for me, I'm always like, yeah, that's freaking right. And I know how good his thing is. I like the bridle horse thing.
Well, I just kind of, you, when we were talking through it, that's, sometimes that'll be kind of a nice little transition
Mm-hmm.
and something with smaller mountains.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, the transition.
But we were at a,
The other thing I like about the terrain, like if it's ever frozen, it's not a big deal. Dunk it in water and it'll freeze. But the Boselle on a really cold day, or even a hot day in Arizona, when it gets 120, I mean, like on a bridle bit, the inside of those cheeks will be pretty hot if they've been reflecting. So I can just throw a Boselle on, and then I don't have to worry. I've gone and grabbed my snaffle, starting colts, and burned my hand from grabbing the bit because it can get so you want to be careful where you're putting those in the shade when it gets hot.
I've got I only had 20 snaffle bits, whatever, head solve or whatever, until I got him. And that's all he's been living in. And I was just trying to seek something that kept him from, he would literally rear and almost flip over. And so I just kept not trying to pull him down, but try something different to get him to put his head down. So this is not more gaze or pulling, it was more just a different feel, so he doesn't have to think of oh shit, because that's what he's doing.
And if you want to show, I can't show. I'll cheat my horsemanship. I'm way too competitive, and I don't like to cheat my horse. I have people that can and smile and be okay if they lose. I'm not okay if I lose.
Well, we're not going to lose when we start, right?
But, to me, as long as your horse is the prize, I can teach it. And probably the most valuable thing I ever got from riding those show horses is, because I like riding them. There's a lot of high power stuff and fixing problems. This one gal made the short list. She never made the Olympics, but she would smile, but you could tell because you knew her. She's like, I want to kill you, motherfucker. So I got to telling all my students, whatever it is, you know your horse at the point you're at the show. There's going to be 3 quirks that you know about your horse. Do not get frustrated at the show. Just laugh. And if you can laugh out loud, better. I can guarantee you it scores better. Without a question of the doubt. But if you get frustrated, the judges will see it and they know you knew about it and you didn't fix it. But if you laugh about it, no big deal, and you went on, it scores better. Yeah. And it lightens you up so you don't get stuck on that one moment. That was going to happen anyways. You were going to ask another question?
well, I guess,
Okay.
the reason I was asking, because you said that's a good, good transition thing and stuff. We were, a couple years ago, I went through surgery and I couldn't ride for a little while, and my daughter and son-in-law said, hey, there's a race on, or I mean a bus ride. Where you want to go? We went and I just watched, went there, kind of thing. And I couldn't see, because like sitting in the stands, and he was over on the ground with some lady over here, and there was a whole bunch of them. The arena was full of horses and riders and kids.
So was ours.
And I couldn't see, I could hear him, but I couldn't see exactly what. But he went over and he dropped the bridle out, and he just looked at her and he says, find somebody you don't like and give him this bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it was, so.
Yeah. He'd probably say that about that. Pretty good idea.
Yeah, you can't ride anything from a snaffle to a Boselle to a...
But everybody's got to find their own horsemanship, really, and what fits you. And then work at it. You can make anything work, though. It's not the bit, it's the hand. Ray used to say it's the nut on the back. Not the bit, it's the nut on the back.
That's always been my struggle.
say this though too. I knew a gal that went to like a little shank. I don't know what the mouthpiece was, whether it was a regular snaffle or port. And her horse was kind of brazy. And a friend of mine did say something about it, and he threw his head and flipped over and put her in a wheelchair. Now she'll never ride again. So I've told a few people if it's bad, that's why I told her to ride in it. Because I wanted to see if something comes up, I'd rather help that. Because they can get pretty flippy of the head too.
He will get psycho. If I just gag on him and push, he'll just like want to take over. My whole deal is no.
So there's that too. Again, it's in the hands, but I had another girl I told, and I told her all night long I'd get rid of that damn thing. I'd get rid of it. Same thing Buck said, pretty much. And then at the end of the clinic, any questions? Well, any suggestions for me? And I said, well, I've tried to say it, but I would get rid of that bit if I was you. She got rid of it, but she hated me after that because I called her out in front of everybody, and I'm like, well, then why not ask me on the side of the trailer when no one else is around if you didn't want me to say it? But whatever.
Okay, so the middle
She's alive still, if that helps. I heard from a friend of a friend the other day she's still alive, so.
And with these critters, I mean, that is,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very real thing.
I don't care if you hate me, if it saves your life, that's cool. That's a good trade-off. You'd hope it wouldn't come to that, though.
Yes.
That's the problem. But yeah, she did get rid of it, and her horse is better for it. Now I don't know. Now it's been so many years of not seeing her ride. I wouldn't say she could go to it maybe now. I suspect not. She doesn't work at it very hard. She was looking for a quick fix, basically. She wasn't looking to get better. She was just looking for something she didn't have to quite do so much with.
See, and I'm slowing down, so I'm learning. I need to get better because I'm slowing down. I'm getting older, you know.
Yeah.
That's how I need to get better. I need to get better.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing how it takes a lifetime to learn how you should live. Again, it's back to that bridle horse thing. It's like you got to get to a certain age and going, like that bending. God, I wish I would have paid more attention to this. Because it doesn't really, it takes a while to start, but then once you get it good, if you do it just a little bit and sharpen it every ride, it doesn't take too much to keep it there. But when you ignore it for like 20 rides, and it's like, let me low beat. But I have a guy, and I won't say where, so maybe sometimes. He can't practice slow stuff for nothing. He can do about 5 minutes, and then he's got to lope and do fine lead changes. Lope and do pirouettes. Lope and do this. It's like, okay, well, if you work on this a little bit, it'll help that little problem in the lead change, and he'll go work at it for about 5 minutes, and then it drives his wife nuts, because then he's like, show me something. Come on, show me something. She's like, I'm working on the stuff you just said. So there's the other extreme of that. All right. If we get like a cold weekend in May, I'll text you guys if I do another group, like a 10-day or something like that. I'll still come, you know. Where are you in Colorado? Okay. That's the thing, is that I have to wait till the 24th. It's hard. I don't mind like the flying, like when I have to fly, I still fly. But I try to be here mostly with my daughter from school. And then it's like I do Europe because I can do a bunch in a row. And the drives aren't too long. But here, everywhere is like 24-hour drive to get to anywhere. I wouldn't mind doing Durango again. I could be there in an afternoon, do a couple days, and still be home. It's just the hair out of my one day they may get sick of me in Europe, or I may be sick of going. So. That day will be kind of nice too, because I do like Colorado. I like Idaho. You know, I mean, it'd be a nice place to spend summer.